Welcome into the Commanders Report. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to be breaking down 6 players that I think the Washington Commanders should be heavily targeting here before the passing of the NFL trade deadline on November 5th. That is next week, Tuesday. And I just want to talk about some of the players that I think could really elevate this Commanders team. And by the way, every single player we talk about is going to be a defensive player. So before we get into it today, man, the trade deadline is on Tuesday next week on November 5th. I do expect the Commanders to be giving some calls. I'm not going to guarantee that they end up making a deal. I think there's other teams that, are probably going to be more aggressive than the Commanders. I think Washington feels like they're in a pretty good spot, but that doesn't mean they won't make a deal. And if they do make a deal, guys, we're going to have you guys covered with breaking news coverage right here on the Commanders Report. So make sure you guys are subscribed, because when that trade happens, if a trade happens, we're going to have you guys covered with a video right here on the Commanders Report. So first up here, let's talk about the corners, because 4 out of the 6 players I'm going to talk about today are cornerbacks, all right? And, you take a look at the cornerback room for the Washington Commanders right now, and it's just, it's a lot of okay, especially on the outside. Benjamin St-Juste and Mike Sainristil have been pretty good, I would say, on the outside this year, and then Noah Igbinogheni's been trying his best, but he's been pretty unremarkable in the slot this year. I think Mike Sainristil is more suited to play in the slot, so I would love to get almost like a true number 1 cornerback. Allow Benjamin St-Juste to cover number 2 receivers instead of number 1 guys, and allow Mike Sainristil to play in the slot where he can really be a true impact player for this Commanders defense moving forward. So the first player that I'm going to talk about here is Jaycee Horn. Now, we put out a video just yesterday, actually, that the Panthers are unlikely to trade Jaycee Horn, and that is certainly possible because he is still only 24 years old. All right, he does have a very unique physical skill set where he pairs really good speed with the long arms and a really strong build, and he's super physical in press coverage. But the thing about the Panthers is that they never play press coverage. They always play off. That doesn't really fit Jaycee Horn's play style, and because of that, his production has kind of dipped ever since Ejiro Evero was brought over here to be the defensive coordinator for the Panthers. But according to Jordan Schultz, the Carolina Panthers are not looking to trade him. That doesn't change my desire to want to go out and see if he can be traded for. But as you guys can see here, Jordan Schultz says the Panthers kind of like him and they don't want to get rid of him. So at this point, I do think Jaycee Horn would probably be at the top of my list because I think he could be a potential Trayvon Diggs type player in this Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. type defense. So if he's gettable, I would say Adam Peters absolutely needs to make a strong push for him. But at this point, if you believe this report, the Panthers aren't probably going to let him go. So number 2 on my list is Marshon Lattimore. And the reason why Lattimore is number 2 here is because he can be a great veteran presence in this Commanders defense. Plus, he has 3 years left on his current contract. The reason why the Saints might be unloading him is because, he's got a little bit of a cap hit. It's under $20 million, so it's not astronomical, but they're going to have some cap issues in years to come. And I think that, with their season being over, they might want to unload some of their future cap that comes with Lattimore's contract. He is 28 years old, so he's getting up there in age, but he's still in his prime. And honestly, he's going to be in his prime pretty much for the rest of his current contract. And he is a physical press man type of corner. That can be this team's number 1 corner immediately if Dan Quinn and Adam Peters go out and make an aggressive move to get Marshon Lattimore in a Commanders uniform. Now, with that being said, okay, it is worth mentioning that Marshon has been dealing with a hamstring issue all season long. It's flared up multiple times. So I think that if the Commanders end up pursuing him, it's going to be very, very important that he passes a physical, that he is healthy, all these different things, if he is going to be a Washington Commander. But I think at the end of the day, you look at his profile, it kind of fits what the Washington Commanders are looking for at this juncture. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comment section. Who do you guys want the Commanders to trade for before the NFL trade deadline? Do you want a corner? Do you want an edge rusher? Do you want an offensive tackle? Do you want a receiver? Let me know a position and then throw some names down there in the comment section for who you guys want the Commanders to go get. In just a second here, I'm going to be telling you about today's sponsor at Prize Picks. While I'm talking about Prize Picks, find this pinned comment at the top of the comment section and let me know who you want the Commanders to target before next Tuesday. With that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has more daily fantasy sports accessible to all. All you guys have to do is pick more or less on at least 2 player stat projections on their app for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. And the great thing about PrizePicks, guys, is that's the best place to get real money sports action. Join 10 million users and sign up today. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Also, PrizePicks now offers Venmo for quick and easy deposits and withdrawals into your account this sports season. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you just play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. So you guys can see my projection here for Thursday night football between the Texans and the Jets. Going to take the more on the receptions for Tank Dell with the Stephon Diggs injury. Going to take the more on Garrett Wilson receiving yards. And then I'm going to take the more on Kaimi Fairbairn with field goals made. So you guys can download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's $50 instantly when you use code CLNS after playing your first $5 lineup on the PrizePicks app today. PrizePicks, run your game. The number 3 corner that I'd be targeting here is Greg Newsome, the corner out of Cleveland. Now, I don't think the Browns are going to be unloading Denzel Ward, but I do think Greg Newsome is somebody that I could see the Browns potentially parting ways with. He's going to want a very large contract, which is coming up here pretty soon. But the 24-year-old, he can play both man and zone very, very well. Very versatile type of corner. So if you end up getting this guy and you make a long-term commitment to him, no matter who your defensive coordinator is over the years, no matter what kind of scheme you want to run, Greg Newsome is very well versed in zone coverage. That's what he did in college at Northwestern a lot. He was really, really good at it. And then in the pros, he's played in a very man-heavy system there with the Cleveland Browns, and he's been very solid in that role as a number 2 corner as well. Now, I will say Newsome because he is a younger player, and he was a relatively high draft pick. He's well thought of in NFL circles. He will be more expensive than a guy like Marshon Lattimore, who's been dealing with injuries. He's getting a little bit older, right? You're going to have to give up probably maybe even a day 2 draft pick to get a guy like Greg Newsome on your team, whereas with Marshon Lattimore, it's probably more like a 4th or a 5th round pick, maybe even a 6th round pick to get a guy like Lattimore in your building. Number 4 on my list here, and this one might be the most likely trade target for the Washington Commanders at this position, Jonathan Jones from the New England Patriots. Now, he's a bit older here at 31 years old. He's a little bit, he's not quite as big as the other guys on this list, but he's currently in the final year of his contract, and the Patriots aren't really going anywhere this year. I don't think the Patriots want to pay Jonathan Jones big money. So, with Jones being a very solid starting cornerback, he's played in really man-heavy systems before when he played under Bill Belichick there, before he ended up leaving the Patriots. I think he'd be a good fit here in Washington. Would he be a true lockdown number 1 like some of the other guys we've talked about? No, but if you're looking to add just another very solid starter for the rest of this season, and I think that the Commanders would be making a long-term commitment to him. If you can come to an agreement on a nice extension for him that maybe doesn't break the bank, but does get him paid and happy here in Washington, I think this is something that could potentially happen. And I would say this might be the most likely option for the Washington Commanders at this point, because I think he might be the most likely out of all these names on my list today to get traded, because he is getting older, because he is on a contract year, all these different things. So I think Jonathan Jones would be a very solid option. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. If you could pick or you could have your pick between these 4 cornerbacks to add to the Commanders roster, which one are you taking? Are you paying more for a younger guy like Jaycee Horn or Greg Newsome, type JH for Horn or GN for Greg Newsome? Or do you want to go out and get a veteran guy like a Marshon Lattimore or Jonathan Jones, type ML for Lattimore or JJ for Jonathan Jones? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. So before I go here, we've talked about 4 corners. Let's talk about 2 edge rushers here that I like, that I think could be really good fits here with the Washington Commanders. Now, right now, I think that this pass rush is actually pretty okay. Okay, Dorrance Armstrong and Cleveland Ferrell, they've been kind of quiet all season long. Cleveland's been pretty good, but Dante Fowler Jr., who's more of a rotational guy, he's got the third most snaps out of all the defensive linemen here, out of all the defensive ends, I should say. He's been your most productive pass rusher so far. Drazon Newton and Deron Payne are playing pretty good up front as well, but honestly, the generator of this pass rush has been the stunts in games, the simulated pressures, all these different things schematically that Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn are doing to get free rushers based on alignment, all these different things that's really working for the Commanders. So getting a guy in this room that can truly win one-on-one consistently could open up the playbook a little bit here for the Washington Commanders if they're able to get one for a good price. So the first guy I want to talk about here is Harold Landry from the Tennessee Titans. We've talked about Harold Landry on the show before, and I'm a big fan of this guy's skill set. You know, he's a really, really good athlete. He is getting a little bit up there in age at 28 years old, but still a very good athlete. And I do think the Titans, we've seen it with the DeAndre Hopkins trade, they're trying to unload some of these players before the deadline. They want to free up some cap space so they can really embrace a full rebuild again here at the start of next offseason. And I think that he has been a really, really good edge rusher here for the Tennessee Titans. He's had multiple sacks for a long, long time here. And I see that our final point there, I think we copied and pasted from the Jack Jones player card there, Mr. Joseph. But he's had multiple sacks in that Titans defense here over the last 2 seasons. He's been a very, very solid edge rusher that can win when he's one-on-one against an opposing offensive tackle. Still has 3 years left on his deal, including this one as well. So if the Commanders, kind of a young, up-and-coming team, they want to make a long-term investment in a guy, I think that Harold Landry is a good fit for this scheme. And I think that he could provide another element to this Commanders pass rush that maybe you don't get with Dorrance Armstrong and Cleveland Ferrell as much. Then if you're looking for maybe an upgrade to kind of the Cleveland Ferrell type in this defense, Za'Darius Smith from the Cleveland Browns is somebody that I'd be taking a look at. He's kind of a bigger, kind of a 4-3 defensive end, really good run defender, but he also gets after the quarterback, man, and he is a hardy veteran. 32 years old. He still has 2 years left on his deal. So it wouldn't just be, what would it be, a 9-game rental at this point for the Commanders? You'd be getting him for a pretty decent amount here. And I do think that the Browns are likely going to be sellers for at the deadline here. There's been even some whispers that they might trade Myles Garrett. I highly, highly, highly doubt they do that. But Za'Darius Smith is an older player. The Browns aren't really going anywhere this year. I think that he could certainly be on the move. But, I mean, there's other teams out there that could definitely use an edge as well. I'm looking at you, Detroit Lions. But, I think that Smith would be the less expensive option because he's the older player. He's got less years on his contract. So if the Commanders don't want to pay a relatively high draft pick, I'd say you could probably get Landry for a 4th or, at most a 3rd-round pick. Za'Darius Smith might cost a 6th or somewhere around that range because of the age that he's bringing to the table here. So pick an edge rusher for me down there in the comments section. Would you rather pay more for a guy like Harold Landry, type HL? Would you rather get the hardy veteran in Za'Darius Smith, type ZD for me, or ZS for me down there in the comments section? F Joey in the chat for that. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Whether Joey gets the graphics right or not, we're going to be here giving you guys informative, in-depth coverage on the Washington Commanders. So get those F Joeys in the chat, and until next time, go raise some hail.